Britain has been experiencing its worst riots in over a decade.
We're following some breaking news out of the UK where police say a man has stabbed several people. They are calling this a major incident.
On July 29th, 3 young girls were murdered at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport in the north of England.
Police have arrested a 17-year-old accused of stabbing at least 8 people in northwest England. Many of the victims are children.
Social media falsely claimed the suspect was an Islamist migrant who arrived illegally by boat. This triggered violent anti-Muslim protests and an attack on a local mosque.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely awful, horrendous.
Despite police later confirming the suspect was born in Britain and that the incident was not terror-related, protests spread to over 20 cities across the country. This is a story of how social media and far-right hatred sparked a week of violence across the UK.
Breaking news in the UK. Authorities there on the scene of what they're describing as a major incident where at least 8 people were stabbed.
As the photos and names of its 3 young victims were released, BB King, Elsie Stankham and Alice Aguiar were aged just 6, 7 and 9.
It's just been horrific. It's such a small town. We just all need to pull together and show that we're all there at such a tragic time.
We don't have all the information at the moment. We understand, as police have said, that a 17-year-old man has been questioned by officers, but they've said that his motivation is not thought to have been terror-related.
Whilst authorities were unable to name him for legal reasons, a website called Channel 3 Now falsely claimed the suspect was an Islamist migrant. Misinformation spread rapidly on social media, and hundreds of anti-Muslim protesters descended on Southport, attacking a local mosque, setting vehicles alight and throwing bricks at police. More than 50 police officers were injured in the clashes.
Yeah, it was horrendous. I don't want your children to see things like that or have to tell them what's happening outside.
Literally like 100 yards from your house.
Despite the suspect later being identified as Axel Rudakabana, born in Britain to Christian parents from Rwanda, violent disorder continued to spread. Migrant hotels were attacked, shops were broken into, and cars were set on fire. Far-right extremists, including Tommy Robinson, leader of the now defunct English Defence League, began promoting the riots on X.
Before people get on quick and condemn the angry men, that anger is justified. Okay? I'm surprised it's took this long. And with your two-tier cowardice policing, you've actually encouraged the scenes you see tonight.
Robinson's X account was restored in 2023 when Elon Musk took over the platform. He had been previously banned for breaking site rules around hate speech.
All the public who are out on the street protesting this issue now is because it's got so bad. If we didn't have X, none of you would even get to see what's going on. They totally control the narrative, as they did for the previous 5 years. The only reason why things are heightening up is because people are getting the truth. People know how bad the situation is.
Musk was accused of stirring public disorder when he tweeted that civil war is inevitable in the UK, in response to a post claiming open borders and migration had led to the protests.
And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises, and the law must be upheld everywhere.
Migration is a contentious issue in Britain. The first 3 months of 2024 saw a record 4,644 small boats arrive, according to Home Office figures. The Conservatives plan to tackle the problem by launching a controversial scheme deporting migrants to Rwanda. The scheme was scrapped as soon as Labour entered office.
I have a plan. They're going to go on planes. They're not going to be out on our streets. That's how we'll solve this problem. Anyone who cares about this issue has got to vote Conservative. Do not surrender our borders to the Labour Party. Do not vote for anyone else. Vote Conservative so we can stop the boats.
Many protesters described themselves as patriots concerned with rising levels of migration.
Your policies, your open border immigration, your policies of putting British people last is what's engulfed this situation in the country.
It's a narrative fuelled by Reform leader Nigel Farage, whose party won 4 million votes and 5 seats in Parliament in the 2024 general election.
3,800 votes later, 125,000 people later, you can use whatever word you want. I happen to think that invasion, frankly, was pretty appropriate.
However, in a YouGov poll, 3/4 of respondents said the rioters did not represent the views of Britain as a whole.
Makes me feel very upset that we're so intolerant as a nation. I don't think the people that are perpetrating these are representative of us.
I think it's a lot of people who got angry and used a terrible, tragic event for their own cause.
Don't instigate it further!
On August the 7th, 6,000 specialist police officers braced themselves for further violence ahead of 100 planned protests across the country. Shop owners boarded up windows and GP surgeries closed early. However, anti-immigration groups found themselves outnumbered by thousands of counter-protesters.
It's deeply shocking, the levels of violence that we've seen, the levels of intimidation, and I feel ashamed the situation in Britain has come to this.
I'm Jewish, I live just up the road, and I'm here to show support for my Muslim brothers and sisters because I know my own history, and I think people have to make that connection.
The protests may have subsided, but Britain will now need to tackle the misinformation and far-right hate that led to the country's worst outbreak of civil disorder in over a decade.